Weightlifters come in all shapes and sizes. Every one of us walks into the sport with a set of levers that we didn't choose. And these levers go a long way in deciding where our strengths and weaknesses sit. And because of that, we love to argue whether there is a best body type for weightlifting. But before I answer that, let me show you exactly how your arms, your legs, and how you're proportioned are doing for you and against you in the snatch, the clean, and the jerk. So then by the end, you'll know which kind of lifter you are, and perhaps you'll stop training like someone that is built nothing like you. Let's first and foremost start with the arms, because your arm proportions shape your snatch almost more than anything else. If you've got long arms, you take a wide grip, and you get a nice, long, connected pull. Long arm lifters are natural born pullers. You even see the same thing outside of weightlifting as well. Take powerlifting, for example, where the long arm lifters tend to be able to deadlift more, simply because their arms have a lower set point, meaning there's just less bar to move. But a long arm is a long lever, and this cuts both ways. Coming out of the pull, the bar wants to drift away from the body somewhat, and having long arms makes this a lot more of a fight to keep the bar close. And overhead, a longer arm is just a longer thing that you need to hold rigid and locked out solid. So the lockout can potentially feel a little less stable and be prone to a soft elbow or perhaps a press out. Short arms flip the script here. Your overhead is generally quite compact and stable, and you can keep the bar closer without trying anywhere near as hard as the longer armed lifter. But what you give up is reach. You don't get that same long connected pull, so you live on a fast, sharp pull and quick turnover. One thing this isn't about is how high you pull though. You'd assume short arms means fighting harder to get the bar up there, but the grip width can somewhat negate that. In the snatch, you set your grip width to the height in which the bar contacts in the hip crease. And then this triangle here of the arms and the bar at contact is essentially flipped when we go to that overhead position. How far this bar actually needs to travel doesn't just come down to the arms, but also how tall you are and how long your torso is, not just the arms. Essentially, the taller you are, the longer that bar path in every rep needs to be. This is a tax you're going to pay no matter how long your arms are. Worth flagging though, this grip mentioned here is for the snatch. Now in the jerk, unless you're a Colombian lifter of course, you are more locked into a narrower grip here in the jerk. So the longer arm lifter does need to drive the bar higher and need to stable a longer lever overhead here, which is one spot where those long arms can cost you. Neither short or long arms are particularly better. One can have a nice long connected pull, but perhaps fight to control it, where the other can control things a lot easier, but they have to make that shorter pull count. Now, moving on to the legs, or your thighs specifically, because your femur proportions are what makes the difference in the clean. Short femurs are a squatter's gift. They let you keep an upright torso, and when you watch a lifter clean like this, they can make a heavy clean look like the weight on the bar barely even exists. Their bottom position in the snatch and the clean or any form of squat movement is generally quite comfortable and strong. Long femurs, on the other hand, are the opposite. They force your torso further forward from the floor, your hips tend to rise early in the first pull, and the stand-up portion of a maximal clean is where the lift can be won or lost. A lifter built like this generally has to lean into having their positions and timing on point, rather than just driving out of a naturally strong position like those shorter levered lifters can. And this especially rings true for the lifter that doesn't quite have the ankle dorsiflexion to be able to fight to have that torso up during that squat portion of the lift. And this femur length difference also carries straight into the jerk. A lifter with longer limbs generally has a longer dip and drive, where they have more runway to be able to pour force into that jerk drive, which is advantageous as long as they control it and have the balance maintained. Where a shorter limb lifter tends to be the opposite generally, with a shorter, sharper dip and drive. So a shorter lever lifter can recover a lot easier out of a clean, but they have to give the bar more height in the pull. Where a longer limb lifter, the pull feels a lot easier, but the way up out of the bottom of the clean is where the tricky part is for them. But it's worth noting that it isn't the femurs alone in this segment of the lift. The torso also plays a part. Two lifters of the exact same height overall can still have two completely different forms of technique that is optimal for their build. A long torso over short femurs keeps you dead upright, but now your lower back is the first thing to fold under a heavy lift. Where a short torso over long femurs hands you a strong, compact back, but it then puts all the work into your legs. Same height, different problems entirely. So, what is the best body type for weightlifting? The answer is there isn't one. You could line up two weightlifters at identical heights, identical body weights, and still have two different builds. One that's built to squat, one that's built to pull. If you go look at the best lifters on earth, you'll see that there isn't exactly a template for what makes the best weightlifter. You'll find out that these lifters have worked out what works best for them personally, and then built their technique around that. The long levered lifter that stopped trying to squat so upright, just like their shorter limb lifters, and the longer arm lifters that quit forcing the narrow grip in the snatch. And this is the whole game, figuring this out for yourself. And this is the mistake a lot of weightlifters make as they transition from beginners to intermediates and start to work their way through the sport. They're trying to mold their technique one specific way and being coached in a way to lift that their body is not made for. Your levers are certainly not holding you back, but training like you have a different set of body proportions yourself is the problem. Learning proper weightlifting technical fundamentals and expressing them in the way that is best for you is the game. But before you change anything, if you want to find out where your lifts lie and where your best opportunities are, my performance calculator actually lets you plug in your levers, your arms, your torso, and your legs, and shows you based on your current strength what you should be able to lift with your proportions adjusted, and how to exactly improve where you're lacking with the scorecard function below. It's free to use at the link at the top of the description below. Go find out which lifter you are and start training like it. And as always, if you want to go deeper into your weightlifting journey, YouTube has suggested 2 videos here which will help you further.